Yeah, so I think with the biopsychosocial model, what we're saying is, particularly with the mind, is that there aren't any. I don't have any blood tests. I don't have any MRI scans to tell me exactly whether someone's got depression or not. We have to be led by the signs and symptoms of the individual subjectively and what we can observe in their behaviour objectively. But really, there are three main kind of buckets in terms of things that can feed in to building up a picture of illness. And you've got biological components, so the bio part. So you've got genetic vulnerabilities. And actually, we know that with a lot of mental illness, in particular things like schizophrenia and bipolar, if you have an identical twin and you're separated at birth, and one of you lives in a completely different environment, maybe in a very loving, supportive, financially secure environment in the UK, and someone else is living in the slums of Mumbai without any family, the correlation is that if one of them has schizophrenia, there's a 50% chance the other one will. So we know that there are strong genetic factors with a lot of mental illnesses. So that's the biological side. So we need to be thinking about that. So one thing you can just gently think about is, what's your family tree like? Is there a lot of mental illness in your family? Then there are the psychological factors. So how were you brought up by your parents? Were they disciplinarians? Were they laissez-faire? How were you taught from a very young age to behave, and what was the right way to behave? Was I bullied at school? Was I abused by someone in my childhood? Any kind of significant impact kind of growing up will have, as a corollary, it will have an impact on how you behave and respond to your current surroundings. So with those factors, what I would really encourage is just a bit of self-reflection, and journaling would be the number one thing to do. Just so that you're doing on a regular basis, you're just reflecting on your emotions and your behaviors and your cognitions, and just observing, are things particularly difficult at this time or not? And I think the main thing is the world is so busy, it's about recognizing that actually you can't do everything perfectly. And one of my favorite psychologists is Donald Winnicott, and he came up with the concept of the good enough mother. And by that, he's saying you can't be perfect as a mother. In fact, if you were perfect, you wouldn't be allowing your child to learn. And the principle applies actually to any individual. We need to accept that we can't be perfect. That's unrealistic. And actually, we've got to be really happy about being good enough. And then lastly, from a social side, the last bit of the biopsychosocial model is what's going on in your environment right now. And this is the area that I get most excited about. It's what are you doing day to day to look after your mind and body? Are you doing that exercise that you know you should be doing? Are you having a good diet? Are you doing having a hot bath before you go to bed? Are you doing some breath work? Have you, over time, as an adult, discovered the high impact activities that make your mind tick? So yes, so I think there's lots. It's very multifactorial, looking after the mind, and it's about going into the world, being inquisitive, curious, and discovering what works for you.